What's going on, everybody? Welcome back to another Silver and Blood tier list update. That's right, guys. It's time to update again with more testing, more accurate results, plus adding Lorelei into the mix now of characters. Now, I have done something different this time around, just so everyone is aware. I have added an extra tier because I think it's about time we do that. There are too many good units with not enough tiers to cover them all. So what we're going to do is we're going to put SS as godly units. Units you cannot go without, units that you should all be going for. And then we're going to talk about the units that are below that. Now, SS is going to be the must-haves, like units you definitely should summon for, whether it's from the altar and using just regular embrace, or if it's going for the limited time offers. S is going to be just right below the SS. We're going to say pretty much can carry you throughout most of the content, but will not be considered quote-unquote meta, but really good. A is sufficient enough to get you through most of the content for PvE, maybe some PvP, but obviously it's going to fall down. B, C, and D, we'll put D over here, is not going to really do much for you after, let's say, chapter 12-ish. And then over here, we're going to put untested. And again, I will be honest with you guys, some units I may not have tested, some I may have. Okay, so we're going to talk all about that real quick. Now let's start off with the D units first. I'm going to be honest with you guys. The one thing I'm going to say right here is, actually, you know what? Maybe I'll put this as SR. We'll consider them SRs. SRs are good for one thing and one thing only. Okay, SRs are going to be great for beginning game when you need to get to level 116. You're free to play player and you have all the dupes for the SRs. These SRs are going to help you advance your characters through the transfusion and get you up to level 61 max until you start getting some dupes for your SSRs, and then you're going to swap them over. So keep that in mind. That's a very important thing. Now, and just a couple honorable mentions for the SRs, especially for things like the clan hunts. If you're lacking a healer, Iona actually is not a bad unit to use here, just to give yourself a little bit more heals in case you need to get out of, I don't know, the noxious gas, for example, that stuns you, right? So that she's not a bad option. And Seti's actually not a bad option for DPS range units, but of course they get outplayed and outmatched pretty much throughout the entire place. And Jestel's actually not a bad tank in case you are lacking a tank and you're brand new. Those three units, I'd say, are probably going to be your best ones to choose for a little while if you are planning to, I don't know, create a challenge account for yourself, or just do something in regards to like not having enough SSR units out there. Okay, so that's pretty much what I would suggest going for that. Okay, now let's start off with the B tier. All right, I'm going to start off with the B tier here, and I'm going to put in Amy first. Amy is going to be in the B tier section. If I can just freaking find her, she's in here somewhere, I promise you guys. And she is, the reason why she's in here is because honestly her buff and her gathering abilities are not that great. She moves around a lot with her ultimate. Her buff is great for attack speed. She does also give someone damage increase, but she just isn't up to snuff when it comes down to the other, like, in my opinion, at least the other support units. Plus Bella coming out again is going to make a pretty big significant impact on the game, in my opinion, so keep that in mind when you're doing that. Selena's another one here who unfortunately is too niche. You require very much a stun team around her to make her function really good with her shadow marks, and because we don't really run a full stun team at all times, making it a little bit more difficult to make her viable in this entire arena of gameplay, whether it's PvE or PvP. Now, she does do fairly decent at Mausoleum, I'd say, but outside of that, I kind of don't like the way she functions overall. Let's go over to the next unit here. Honestly, I'm not a fan of Piera. I don't know what it is. I try my best to like her. I try my best to use her. I still can't seem to, you know, pinpoint where I would want to put her. But right now, she's probably, I'd say, there overall. Now, when it comes down to AoE units, there are a lot of good AoE units. I'd say probably Kane is the worst I have so far tested. He just hasn't been yielding results for me when it comes to the AoE, so I'm going to put him here as well too, just to be a little bit more stringent on the marking. He was a B before. I'm going to drop him down to C though instead. And then again, Darcius, honestly, I can't get my mind wrapped around why I would use her over any other units out here that are actually really good. So I'd say she's probably up there as well too. She has some lifesteal. She's fairly tanky for a warrior, but that's really about it. Honestly, I don't think she really brings much else to the table. So I'm going to put her there and we're going to keep her there. All right. Now let's go over to the Bs. Bs are going to be a little bit more, A little bit more niche as well, but a little bit better. Now, for PvP purposes, Augustine is actually really good. I started finally testing him on my free-to-play account. He's my main go-to tank right now because I just got Bella, so I'm using him in Bella. The good thing about him is he's actually a disruptor. So if you are looking for somebody to like grab Van Helsing from the back in PvP, for example, he's an amazing unit to do so. He pretty much grabs anybody and brings them towards your entire team, making it a lot easier to kill that unit. So a good Van Helsing killer, great for PvP and some PvE modes, specifically revolving around any units that are all the way in the back that you need to bring forward, who are maybe like, I don't know, casting spells on you or healing. Great for that, but again, overall, very niche character, doesn't do much damage, just good for the pull. So I'm going to put him in B for now. We're going to keep him there. Agris, honestly, continuous damage is decent. He's just nowhere near as good as some of the units out there. So I'm going to put him in this section for sure. Theophane here, I'd say good tank. Great for debuffing when it comes down to physical damage. Good taunt. Overall, that's the main usability for him. He's really a support tank and just a taunt tank, more so than anything else, right? So finally got a chance to actually Yggdrasil, finally got a chance to test Yggdrasil. I'd say Yggdrasil's probably an A tank. Great healer, damage reduction. Honestly brings way more to the table than Theophane, so that's why I'm going to putting that unit down there. Okay, so what else we have here? We have Risa. I think Risa also is another unit that I think is a little bit niche as well. I'm still trying to find a good use for her. I know her ultimate does go down more and more every time somebody uses a skill, I believe, and she does hit fairly decently hard at that point, but I feel like the battle's almost already over by the time she's actually usable. So maybe single target bosses. Outside of that, though, I really haven't found a really good use for her outside of maybe just that. That's about it so far, okay? And Joan as well. I'm going to put Joan over here. Induction is great. Again, I think there's just better units out there for Joan, and I don't think she's good enough of a unit to put anywhere in the A, S, or SSs, okay? So we're going to put that as our B units right there. I don't really see anyone else I would put in this section except for maybe Nicole. Yeah, I just, again, Nicole for an assassin, there's just better assassins out there, so I probably put her in B. So that's probably the roundup there for the B squad. I think that's fair. I probably put Nicole actually more like around here if we're going to do actual order of things right there. Maybe more like this even, right there. Maybe even that, right? So there you guys go. That's probably the B section of my tier list. Now if we go over to the A's, again, Yggdrasil is up there. I'm going to leave him up there. Edina, actually, believe it or not, is a good healer. Edina is actually a really good healer. Does damage reduction as well, too. Does a fairly decent job of putting a circle around units and healing those units. The biggest problem with her is she doesn't do an AoE heal. It's literally just... well, I guess technically it is an area of effect, so because she's affecting one area, but it's not a screen wide like Seth, for example, right? So I'll put her in A for now. She does have a good debuff she has a good buff as well too, providing you a lot of survivability. So if you're looking for a good tank to pair a healer with, Edina is actually a fairly good choice. Frederick's actually a really good tank as well too. Good shielding tank, good damage overall. Honestly can survive quite a bit. Not quite as good as Yggdrasil, but still fairly decent. I'm going to put Gilrain actually in B as well. I think Hattie just does a way better job than him. Forgot about that. And then there's Mass. I think Mass as well deserves an A. The reason why she deserves an A, she does fairly decent damage. Her ultimate does start really high up, but every time she casts her special, she increases the ultimate damage by 50% that she does, and then when she does finally blow up, she does a massive amount of damage. Whether you're going to be using her in hunts or other places, she's great for that. Bosses as well too. The problem is, of course, once you do that one skill, she dies, and that's pretty much over for her, and there's really not much else you can do with that. Now, Pavana, I still haven't had a chance to test. That's about the only unit I really can't speak on at the moment in the game. I mean, I can give you theories, but I haven't had a full-on sit down and test unit with that one. So I'd say she's probably the only one here that I can say like comfortably that I don't know much about. All right, let's go up on the list here. Let's go. Who else? Let me just see here. Spectral. Yeah, I'll put Spectral Gilrain. I think it's still a great unit. He's kind of fallen off a bit end game. He just doesn't do enough damage, but his shadows actually do help quite a bit. I'd probably put him here in terms of top A unit, but that's probably as far as it goes. And probably Triss over here as well. Triss is good for, I believe she's a dot unit if I recall. I haven't used her for a while, so she's not a bad unit there. And Octavia as well too. I'd say probably good unit, specifically for debuffing for magic damage users, and that's really her main role. really crappy ultimate looking at him, by the way. But outside of that, she does serve her purpose, and she does a good job of doing so. Another one I'm going to put here over here, Cyrene. You guys know she's a brand new unit that we're going to be working on getting. Her kit looks broken AF. She looks like she's going to be absolutely bonkers. She's probably going to be up here in SS, but I can't give you that honest opinion yet because, again, she's just not ready for that kind of love. Theobald, I'm going to put S over here. Great for crit resistance, good damage. Overall, great magician. Still, I wouldn't put top tier anymore. Quite honestly, I'm seeing a lot less people using her, including myself, and that might be a fault of mine, but she is still amazing. I just wouldn't put her at the top tier of things at the moment in terms of where she stands, right? Okay, let's keep going here. Who else do we have? Who else? Cecilia, yeah. I mean, great unit. I would put her over Theobald here. Great AoE. Whenever she summons her skeletons and she just goes off, she's so hard to kill, especially when it comes down to PvP or PvE. She just is a massive power destruction. So amazing unit, and I highly recommend putting her in any team if you're looking for AoE or just in general damage, okay? All right. Let's go for some of the harder units here. Now, I got to break this down, guys, as best as I could. So, Del Carlo is actually, you know what? I'll save Del Carlo. I'll talk more about her after. Hati, I'm going to put S as well. Probably the best assassin off tank. And the reason why I like Hati so much is not only does she rush to the units in the back, not only can she off tank, she also has a damage reduction on the opponent as a debuff, so they do less damage. And she's actually fairly good at absorbing damage and kicking ass. So as a stun unit, as a rush unit, she pretty much does it all. I really do like her, but I would put her in the lower S rank for sure at the moment, okay? Who else do I want to put in here? The S is really tough to categorize right now, only because we've seen so much. I'm going to put Agris, the Transcendent version, up here as well. The reason why I'm putting him in here, you know what, honestly, he probably is more SS than anything, but I'm going to put him here for now, only because he really does excel in PvP. I don't like the fact that he dies and then loses HP so fast. In higher end modes, he does die very quickly if you don't kill off opponents quickly. So I'm going to put him in S. We'll probably put him the top tier S for now, though, okay? So we'll leave him at that point. And then lastly, I think here, again, I got to be fairly strict. I'm going to have to put Lamine over here. I like her a lot. I think if you have a group full of people and you cast her 6 skill ultimate, it goes to 4 skill. She can just spam nonstop at that point, and she's great for it, honestly. She does a lot of damage. Again, it's just getting past that hump. A couple of reasons why. Number one, I feel like the other AoE units are a bit better. So, for example, I'd rather take Transcendent Noah over her any day. I'd rather take Lamia over her any day. So there's a couple of units there I would definitely prefer over her no matter what. So I'm going to put her in that section. I'm also going to take one other unit off of the top tier list that I had before. Maybe she was in the same tier list here as well, but Stariat Iona. Now, the reason why she's not SS, she does provide a shield right from the beginning to one unit. She does provide a shield throughout the battle. She does a mass shield. Her biggest issue I find is her gather. The problem with her is instead of being a widescreen shield, she forces your units to gather together. Now that can cause a couple different problems. That can also be a lifesaver, so it's a double-edged sword. Sometimes you can take one of your range units out of their position, which you may have calculated, and they now are completely off whack and they're not attacking the right units. For example, Van Helsing or other things like that. So keep that in mind. That Starry-Eyed Iona is an amazing unit, but there is a lot of fault with her when it comes down to the way she functions. So that's a big one to remember in the back of your mind. I'm also going to put Transcendent Amy here as well. Honestly, when it comes down to it, between the two tanks, I had to really think about this as much as I could. I think Bella just takes the cake and is much easier to acquire. Plus, overall, honestly, her summons and her healing off of her summons dying is huge. Plus, her elite summon ultimate does a stun and is really tanky. So it's like you're almost having 3 or 4 tanks on the screen at all times, especially with a good healer to keep you alive. So that is something that's super important to remember about that unit. All right, now I've got to be a little bit more strict, as I mentioned. So Lorelei, yeah, she is definitely up here as the top S unit. Now, the only reason why I didn't give her SS is because of the one situation of where Siren Song can't sleep bosses. And even though she hits like a Mack truck on that is one of her biggest features, is her sleep, I guess, debuff. and the control, the strongest control probably in the game, can't be used on a lot of opponents because they're immune to it. So I think that kind of puts her down one slot because that's such a big part of her mechanic. Now, in the future, if they change that and sleep becomes more of a powerful feature that can penetrate through bosses, she will definitely be a top tier unit and easily will be SS. But outside of that, I think she definitely deserves S, and I'm going to keep her there for now. Yeah, this is the tough one. This is a tough one. I almost want to put one more unit in here, but I feel like the rest of them pretty much deserve top tier love. So Acapella being the best buffer still in the game, giving you the blood recovery, it's huge. Transcendent Hattie, probably the core mechanic user for dot teams, and can do an abundant amount of damage in a very short period of time with her debuffs and her dots. Seth, easily the best healer in the game, removes and purifies, takes away debuffs, and does an AoE mass heal across the screen no matter where anybody is. Del Carlo, probably some of the best debuffs in the game, plus gets stronger ultimates every time she casts it, definitely deserves that. Lamia, still I think probably the best DPS in the game at the moment. I think Van Helsing's a very close second. Maybe Van Helsing's first. It'll be a tie between the two of them. Transcendent Noah, just super annoying. Great unit, amazing ranger, does everything you need. And then, of course, Bella here will be the best tank in the game. So there you guys go. That is the tier list that I think is probably now, after my full testing, up to 15.6, 15.7, plus PvP, plus every other mode in the game. I've tried my best to give you guys the most accurate possible tier list. If you guys have any comments or questions, let me know. Obviously, if you are thinking some of these guys are off, let me know in the comment section. I would love a carefully and calculated reason why, because that way I can analyze and go back and test and give you guys the results that I see. And honestly, I want this to be a community tier list, so the more you guys give proper feedback without all the negativity behind it, actual critical feedback, I'll be able to take that and actually make something out of it and give you guys a more accurate tier list going forward. All right, folks, again, thank you so much for watching. Take care. Have a good one.